My memory is of Neil stalking me. He's asked me to go to the pub for a drink with him. And every day he asked me to marry him, and every day I turned around and said no. And then one day I completely caught him off guard when I turned around and said yes. And he had the biggest smile on his face.
A persistent romantic.
Yes.
When you're ready.
Memory of my dad going out camping and stuff, sitting down on the sofa on the night having chats and stuff.
Okay.
And just being my dad, if you know what I mean, and a friend.
A dad and a friend.
Right, so I'm Neil's son Owen. I've got a fond memory. We used to go bike riding all the time along the canals. I remember complaining one time because we'd run for so long, he just told me to keep going. I remember when we got to a pub, he almost threw me in the canal. I remember also many times going up Hillcley and camping up there, having fires, having water fights up there. It was a good old time, taken too soon unfortunately.
I remember one of my memories with my dad was just playing Halo together, and we'd always play co-op, and I would always be the driver and he would always be the gunner, and we'd just drive around shooting those aliens, killing them. He'd get annoyed at me because I went way too ahead of him, or I was stealing all the kills or something, but it was something fun that we did together, and I always liked those memories.
Well, one of the biggest memories I remember of Dad is the fact that I'm not really his kid, but never in my life did he ever make me feel like I wasn't. It was obvious to him that I was his boy as well as the rest of them, and
That's the way we all view it.
That was a very, very good quality. There was a good memory I have of him though. When me, Danny and Dad was all in the house and we were playing guns, and I was on Dad's team, and me and Dad ran up into the bathroom and locked the door because Danny, about 8-year-old this time, was coming up the stairs with his toy gun. And I remember him looking outside the bathroom window and going to me, goes, right, I'm going to lower you down and then you've got to go run out to the front door and get him. I'm thinking, that's scary as that. I'm not jumping out this window. And then luckily he had a moment of good parenting come over him, and he goes, right, no, actually it's not a good idea, let's not do that. And without another hesitation, he jumps out that window, legs it round to the front door just so he can get Danny, the 8-year-old boy with his toy gun.
So Michael Jackson moment, but he did better.
He did get it. And, yeah, he was just a fun guy, you know. As a kid, he was just a daft idiot, and he was fun. Yeah, that's all I got for him.
Down to earth.
Hey, kid it's Uncle Dan. A few words on Grandad, Grandad Neil. So, I mean, I don't know what everybody else has said, but he was a good man, he was a proud man, and he loved everybody that came in touch with.
Specific memory that you love.
What's that?
A specific memory that you love.
A specific memory. The specific memory, I mentioned this on the day that we cremated Grandad, and it was the day when he took us all up camping. And like I said, it was our time to leave. Like, it had come to the Sunday, we had school in the morning, and as we were walking, we were carrying your other uncles across this little stream, and Grandad slipped and he broke his wrist. And do you know what? He thought, stuff it, we're going to stay out for another day instead. You know, instead of going to hospital, he decided to spend the day with us. Also, what I'd like to mention is, at some point, if we end up going camping, I'll show you exactly what Grandad liked to do.
What do you want it to say?
A memory of your dad.
Well, there's that memory.
Yeah. Try and
Where
speak.
to start? Well, my best memory is being able to turn up no matter what state I'm in, and it's like the sofa there, chill out, come round.
So I knew what it's like for needing a bed.
Yeah, yeah. No matter what state you're in, you're alright.
Alright.
All else fails, you've got floor.
Yeah.
So one of my memories with Neil was going up to Wales, camping out with Danny and Matt. That were a good memory. Went to the camp as well. And then I've had just loads of memories.
Any more detail on that?
It was just my first holiday, you know, without my family. He treated me as like one of his own. All the time that I've known him, he's always treated me the same as his other kids, which is really nice. I had problems with my dad, and Neil gave me a lot of good advice when I was growing up, and I used to spend all my time up at Neil's house with Danny and Matt and Danielle. So most of my childhood, he
was there for you.
was there for me, yeah.
Okay.
Well, I remember films that we used to watch, Red Dwarf
It's okay.
and Star Trek. Not very keen on them now, like, but it was nice to watch them with him. And he used to make me cheese and toast when he was apologetic. I remember that. And then we went camping once, bit baths on Bradford Road. We might not have, should have been there, like, but we did.
Well, his love for camping's coming through.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Right, memories of Neil is he married to my niece, and he'd always been a lad what used to like to have a good drink, like to thing and party and all that thing, but he was always helpful. Because he always fit me cookers in. All the council knew what thing. My point is, he always used to fit me cookers in, he used to help out when he could help out. And basically, he's just a grand lad, always that thing.
So one memory that sticks out for me is we would often go on little family outings, little bike rides around the area, around Batley, Dewsbury, Birstall area. And there was this one time, this one particular day, that we went to the Spen Valley Greenway all on our bikes. And just for a little bit of background information, it was Neil that obviously taught me how to ride a bike. And the entire family's always been overly critical about the way that I ride and how I'm a bit dodgy with my coordination when riding. I'm very accident prone when I'm riding a bike. So there was this one time when we were on our way coming back from the Spen Valley Greenway, and it was Upper Batley, and there's a steep hill coming back into Batley, and I remember my brakes were a bit dodgy at the time, and I couldn't stop myself going down this really, really steep hill. And when I couldn't stop myself, I had to find a way to do so when my brakes were failing me. So what happened is I hit my bike against a wall. And when my bike hit a wall, everybody else stopped behind me and asked, well, why'd you do that for? And because I was so embarrassed, and obviously I didn't want to let Neil know that I was just because I was rusty with riding a bike, I just let him know, oh, it's because the wall just jumped out on me. And that just started a consistent joke. Whenever anything regarding me and a bike is associated in the same sentence, it'd be an absolute piss take. From that moment on, they'd just be ripping me a new one just because of that little instance, and that's just because obviously it was Neil that taught me how to ride, and I felt rather embarrassed really, so I had to kind of think of a little excuse, and it was amusing, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's right. I mean, for years I was using stabilisers, so you know, I mean, it took me ages to ride a bike.
Yeah, it
with
took me ages.
stabilisers.
I didn't learn how to ride a bike till I was 11. And I've been trying for years. I remember Neil bought me a bike. He bought me a BMX bike when I was 9ish or something. And I remember I used to practice going down the same greenery area over and over again, and he'd be watching me from his flat balcony, watching me fail, and I'd be stressed and frustration. I'd be roughing my bike around, and he'd be watching me do it, and then I'd come back in. I'd get bollocks for treating my bike for it that I did do because I was really frustrated, and I'd go back out, try again.
Yeah.
I mean, eventually.
Hey, you remember me going Blackpool? We keep going water, the old bugger. Anyway, all the best to you, pal.
I used to like to play on Spyro a lot, and one day he were up at mine and he was sat in a chair and I was sat in between his legs. It's very innocent, and we got to this part on Spyro and they called it Blowhard, and I says to Neil, why do they call it a blow job? Oh, it was funny. And he says, do you know? He says, I don't know. But from there on, we picked it up that we'd each have a blow job. And the blow job was...
Oh, that's fantastic.
When I first met Neil, he came to his new school. We were both 7-year-old, and we've been best mates for a long time. Up until like late 90s, we were still knocking around together. I remember when we were younger, Neil was always cheeky. But he used to be able to climb a tree like a little monkey. I used to be jealous of that because he could just get up there. And I heard after that he'd fallen out of him a few times when he got older.
I think we were both conquering together.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we later found out it was private grounds.
Yes.
But Neil knew it.
Yeah. And we used to go and ask him after that. But Neil was good at climbing trees, he really was. He was being a good mate to me.
Right, it's hard to remember everything about Neil, but his cooking skills that I remember were absolutely poor. I remember him getting some meatballs in gravy for kids and taking them out of the pan and boiling them in water. Now, since this funeral, I've heard his cooking skills are very improved. So it's a pity we lost touch and I never got to experience the new Neil.
Sticking and trying.
Well, I remember he had this BB gun. We used to play with him when we were kids, me and Owen, and he shot me right back on the leg. And he had to apologise, took care of me and looked after me and that. He was just a nice guy, really liked him.
So he made Owen apologise and do the right thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alright, so basically I had a lot of troubles with family and stuff like that. I had nowhere to go. Luckily enough, I'm friends with Owen, Michael, Brandon, who are related to Neil, and it just took me in without hesitation basically. I stayed there for a couple of weeks, months, until I was back on track. I eventually got my own place, and it's just something I'll remember forever. Something I'll always be grateful for as well, something that helped me, get back on track, and it's something I'll always be grateful for. And something I remember just always, to be honest.
No, helping people out and means that you'll do the same as well, stuff like that. And
Yeah, no, of course, he was a very helping person, you know, like every day I'd always have like a meal or something as well, you know, which I didn't even have in my own house, to be honest, so it's just one of the things that I'll always be grateful for.
Sorry to see that we're in these circumstances, but Neil was a great cousin to me. He always had a laugh. He always had a running joke with my mum, because my mum was younger than him but ended up becoming his auntie because of her marrying my dad, which is Annie Val's brother. Neil, he always had something to say, always had sarcasm, and always made us laugh, especially when they lived in the old house. He sat on the couch with socks, and he'd just be throwing toys for her and giving her loads of treats. Like, no, she's the biggest, cutest fluff ball, and sorry to see him gone, but
Well, Neil, I'm sorry we're here at this moment, but making this video so it can be shared with grandkids, friends, and people around the world. Just to say, this was your life, with wee snippets of memories. I remember when we were younger, fancy dress. Unfortunately, the pictures have been lost. I was Zorro, and you were a pirate. And that's the way you lived a life, like a pirate. The only rules you liked were the rules that you set. But what I've noticed with these videos, I've seen a different side of you that I didn't know. So I hope everyone can learn from this. Take care, mate.